Okay, so playoffs are tomorrow, and I wanted to go ahead and get in my picks for the wild card round, and then based on my predictions of the wild card round, how I think the rest of the playoffs will go. And I'll probably try to do that every round. So, our first Saturday game is the Cleveland Browns at the Houston Texans. While these two teams did play earlier in the year, only a few weeks ago, it's not exactly going to be the same teams because CJ Stroud was not playing in that game for Houston. I do think it's going to be a closer game than it was last time, but I think Cleveland still gets it done. That defense is fucking elite, and Joe Flacco, especially in the playoffs, has fucking ice in his veins. Now, he is not a perfect quarterback. We've even seen it this year, and like as much as we've been talking about how Flacco has been balling, I've heard so many some of these feel very facetious, little tongue in cheek, but maybe Flacco's comeback player of the year. Joe Flacco's the MVP. Joe Flacco became the main character of the NFL in the last few weeks. Sure, he's also thrown a lot of interceptions. He'll have throw 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, but I think he was averaging about 2 picks a game as well. And depending on some of these matchups and just the flow of the game, those might really come back to haunt the Browns. Now, in his legendary playoff run with the Ravens, I think he threw, because I think he tied Montana's record. I don't know if that's since been topped. I haven't checked. I believe it was 11 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, which is a phenomenal playoff run. And we've seen that he can do that. I don't think we'll get something quite like that. I still think we should expect an interception or two. But I do ultimately think the Browns win. I think this will be a fun game, though. I think the Texans are going to have a lot of fight. They're going to have a lot of heart. This is a team with house money. A rookie head coach, a rookie QB, throwing to rookie receivers. The expectation for the Texans this year was they're going to have a top 5 pick, if not worse. And they're hosting a first round playoff game. I feel like this is going to be a team where, depending on how kind of the vibe of the game goes, because of that house money, they're going to take some risks. There's going to be some fourth down conversions in the fourth quarter that maybe even a little early on as well. They're like, you don't really need to go for that there, but we got house money. Who gives a shit? We have nothing to lose and everything to gain, and everything to gain in the game. And I think because of that, they're gonna dig themselves into a hole that they shouldn't have been in. Or in the alternative, they're gonna go for 2, again, a time or two, and they really don't need to. And I don't know how well it'll work out for that. It's just kind of what the vibe I have going into the game. It might completely not happen. But I think that is going to make the game feel a lot more exciting. It's going to be really fun. But I think ultimately Cleveland gets the win and moves on to the divisional round. The next game, because weirdly enough, it's all the AFC games and then all the NFC games. At least I think that's how it works. Yeah, it is. That's just really fucking weird to me. I don't know why it's like that. It's kind of neat, though. Is the Miami Dolphins going into Kansas City to take on the Chiefs in the Tyreek Hill revenge game. This is the Peacock game. You can only watch it if you have the streaming service. I mean, personally, I don't mind that because I already have Peacock. That's how I've been able to watch Sunday Night Football. But as a neutral observer, why? Why would you do this? That's really fucking shitty. The way I see this game going, looking at the two teams, both teams feel like they've been struggling as of late. Miami did beat Dallas, and then right after, got their asses kicked by Baltimore, and then got beat by a Bills team that seemed like they were trying to give the game away with so many fucking turnovers. They played earlier in the year in Germany. And if I remember correctly, it was a 21-14 Kansas City win. Kansas City scored 21 points in the first half. Miami scored 14 in the second half. They have both been offensively challenged in the last few games. And honestly, just kind of I can't say that about the Dolphins. They've been offensive issues all year. They scored fucking 70 points at one point in the year. But it seems like they've slowed down a lot, and a good chunk of that is also to injuries. It also just seems like as they play better teams, they're just not as explosive. The Chiefs' offense has been kind of a shit show. Not even kind of. It has just been a shit show all year. But their defense has been fucking elite. Whereas the Dolphins are missing two big pieces in Phillips and Chubb. I don't think this is a blowout by any means. I mean, given how poor both offenses have been playing, I don't expect there to be a whole lot of points in this game. Maybe 2-3 touchdowns each. I do think Kansas City wins. I think their defense is a bit better, especially because they're healthier. And I do trust Reed and Mahomes at this point more than McDaniel and Tua. They've earned that at this point. They've hosted 5 straight AFC championships, been to 3 Super Bowls, won 2, and are currently the defending champs. You earn a bit more benefit of the doubt for me that way. So I'm going to roll with KC. The final AFC game of the weekend is the Buffalo Bills hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm torn on this game, and I hate that I'm torn on this game. Because I've been saying for a while, like, ever since I don't know, I think it was after the Broncos loss or the Eagles loss. It was somewhere around there. I was like, Buffalo can still make it into the playoffs. They do not control their own destiny. They need some help. And they have a rough fucking schedule coming up. They've got the Chiefs. They've got the Eagles. They have the Cowboys. They have to play the Dolphins again. If they can get through this shit show of a schedule, though, that they have coming up, I don't think anyone will want to play them. I think that team going through that much adversity during the year, if they make it to the playoffs, they're going to be fucking unstoppable. And there's a part of me that still believes that. There's also the part of me that sees them play down to their competition. I saw that Giants game, that Broncos game. They barely got through Easton Stick. And even then, like, they were so sloppy, at least offensively, against the Dolphins. Allen overthrows a wide open Diggs on a touchdown. Picked off in the end zone. Fumble in the red zone. The end of the half, poor execution, like weren't able to get any points. You can't do that consistently and expect to win. Like I was watching an Inside the NBA clip yesterday, and it was with Barkley and Shaq discussing the Milwaukee Bucks, and they were talking about how Shaq was saying, like, you know, a really good team, especially one with championship pedigree, I trust them to be able to turn it on in the playoffs, because they were specifically talking about how bad the Bucks defense has been. With Barkley saying, I don't think they can, because when you play poor, like, I think the way he phrased it was, if you do stupid things and good things happen, you're gonna keep doing the stupid thing. If you have a bad habit and you don't fix it, then you're gonna keep doing your bad habit. You're not gonna say, okay, now it's time for me to do the right thing. Muscle memory. Like, it's gonna kick in. You're gonna do what's been happening all year. And I look at that and go, can I really trust Buffalo? They did get to the playoffs. They did win a lot of those games. Say what you will about the Kadarius Toney thing, but they did beat the Chiefs. They shellacked the fucking Cowboys. Even though all the dumb shit they did in that game against the Dolphins, they still won it. I said they barely beat the Chargers. They still did it. But I don't feel like I'm like, yes, this is the team. They can go on a crazy-ass run. But then I look at the Steelers. First off, no TJ Watt. That's a huge blow. Also, just, I don't believe in the Steelers necessarily. I just believe in weird Steeler bullshit. Like that first game against the Ravens. The Steelers didn't beat the Ravens. The Ravens beat themselves. And this is a team that was dominant on offense and defense all fucking year. But somehow, when they went into Pittsburgh, everything went to shit. This is a team that lost 3 straight games near the end of the year. 2 of them were to 2-win teams that were fucking terrible. Because, I mean, if you're a 2-win team in, like, week 10, you're fucking terrible. And then then lost to another team that was fighting for a playoff spot. And then somehow they still bullshitted themselves into the playoffs anyways. It doesn't have the vibe of, oh, the Steelers are a team of destiny, and it's just more of, I don't know what to gauge of them, because they're just fucking weird, and they're almost always really fucking weird. Does that mean they're going to go into Buffalo and pull off a gritty upset? Or does that mean they're just going to get their asses kicked? I'm going to pick Buffalo still. Because I had said, as like, if Buffalo gets in, they're going to the Super Bowl. I'm going to stick with that until they lose. But man, I don't know. Pittsburgh's weird, dude. Then we move on to the NFC. We've got Green Bay going into Dallas. I talked about how the Texans are kind of playing with house money. I feel the same way about the Packers. No one knew what to expect from this team this year. This is the first year without Aaron Rodgers. Is Jordan Love any good? If he is good, how good is he? So far, it looks like he is pretty damn good. I heard this is the youngest team in the NFL, or at least in the playoffs, somehow even younger than the Texans. Like I said, like, they got nothing to lose and everything to gain. The Cowboys have a lot of pressure. This is a team, like, you know, there's the pressure of the fan base with the, like, hey, the curse is lifted. We got to win this year. There is the pressure of being the Dallas Cowboys and how year after year, etc., you can't even make it past the second round. You are a club that prides itself on its consistent championship pedigree, but have not actually shown it in years. I was talking yesterday about the storyline for every team, or like at least like the couple storylines for every team throughout the season. The Cowboys was their dominance at home versus how shit they are on the road, and this is at home, so they have a big advantage there. Their struggle against winning teams, which they kind of fixed near the end of the year, so I don't think that's a huge issue either. But the third, now we're getting into it, it's what are you going to do in the playoffs? Because we know this team is talented. We know this team is going to win in the regular season. That doesn't matter for you, for someone like the Texans, or the weird-ass Steelers, or the Packers. The season, to me, felt more about, can we even get this far? And they did. Their storyline is pretty much done. If they win a game, then it's, okay, cool. How far can this go? But for a team like the Cowboys, this is when their season really starts. The pressure is on. I do still think they win this game. This is the Mike McCarthy Bowl. I think they win the McCarthy Bowl. But there's that part of my brain that goes, what if they don't? What if Jordan Love has the game of his life and the Cowboys can't beat it? Then again, I've seen the Panthers in their last 3 games scored 0 points, 0 points, and 30. They dropped 30 on the Packers. If the Panthers can do it, and the Giants can pick apart that defense, I think Dak and CeeDee Lamb can do it just fine. I'm still picking Dallas. I don't want them to win. It's like, I'm going to be honest, it's like, I kind of want to see the chaos of the Packers winning. But I do think Dallas takes it. I think next is Detroit and the Rams. It is. This is, storyline-wise, I think this is my favorite game of the week. I got Tyreek Hill going into Kansas City. That one's really exciting to me. But this is these two teams had a trade a few years ago. They just swapped QBs. Matt Stafford is now going into the place where he used to play for his old team that, from what I understand, still hold him in high regard. Like, I heard that the Lions had to kind of like tell fans, please don't wear Stafford's jersey during this game. Like, that's kind of shitty. Which, I feel like I remember that happening on a Sunday night game between the Eagles and the Falcons several years ago. And it's when Vic was with the Eagles. I think it was his second season there, maybe his third. But I think it was like his first full season starting. I think this was 2012. I could be wrong about that. I think it was the year the Giants won the Super Bowl. I remember it was a primetime game, and they were talking about how so many Falcons, because I think it was in Atlanta, so many Falcons fans in attendance weren't wearing Matt Ryan jerseys. They were still wearing Michael Vick jerseys, even though he was on the enemy at this point. Sorry, just random tangent. And on the other side of the coin, Jared Goff now has to host the team that not only cast him off, but then won a Super Bowl the year they did. Almost kind of proving that you were the thing holding us back. This is a revenge game from Stafford against the team that held him back for so long, and revenge for Jared Goff against the team that got rid of him. This should be fun. This should be really exciting. My gut is telling me that the Rams win it. That I've been talking about house money and like the kind of shit that I expect the Texans to do. We know that's the shit Dan Campbell is gonna do. He's gonna go for it on fourth down. He's gonna run a fake punt. He might run a fake field goal. He's gonna go for two when he maybe doesn't need it. There's gonna be like a fourth and goal from about the 7-yard line on the second drive of the game, and he's like, yeah, let's go for it, when you really shouldn't. But I want the Lions to win. My soul wants the Lions to win. The Lions are the team I want to see in the Super Bowl from the NFC, so I'm going to pick them. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if I can bless the Lions. Hopefully I don't jinx them by doing it. I feel really bad. So I'm going to roll with the Lions. And the last game of Super Wildcard Weekend is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Neither of these teams look very good right now. The Bucs are limping into the playoffs after getting rocked by the Saints, which they only lost by 10, but it's a game that the scoreboard is closer than the actual game was. And then a game where they shut out the Panthers, but they only kicked through, like they won by 9. This was not a dominant win by any means. I remember Baker looked hobbled. I think White looked hobbled. Who was Godwin? Like, I remember watching part of the game, and like the Bucs don't look like they're at 100% right now. The Eagles, though, Jalen Hurts isn't at 100%. A.J. Brown is not at 100%. That defense has been playing like shit for these past few weeks. The offense can't get it together these past few weeks. Neither of these teams looks good. I mean, I'm a Sooner fan. This is the Sooner Bowl, I guess. Jalen Hurts and Baker Mayfield, I think that's pretty cool. I don't have a lot of road teams winning, so I guess I'll take the Eagles, but I'm also like, dude, do I actually think the Eagles can win a playoff game with how badly they've played? No, I don't. I'd written down the Eagles. I was just looking at it. I was like, I have one road team winning in Cleveland. That feels wrong. Maybe Pittsburgh does get it. Like, maybe something crazy does happen in Green Bay. I mean, the Rams are probably going to win, but I got to roll with the Lions. But I'm also like, dude, the Eagles look bad. I can't pick them. Do I really want to pick the Bucs? I don't want to pick a division rival. It feels wrong. Unless I'm like, no, like they are far and away clearly the superior team. But when I'm like, you guys haven't been playing well the last couple of weeks either. They don't look like they're healthy either. But they also don't have Matt Patricia calling their defense. No. I am still gonna roll with Tampa. Their defense, I do think, is way better than Philly's right now. And even if both offenses are a little hobbled, as much as I don't like Mike Evans is a fucking stud. I do genuinely think Tampa wins this game. So, I'm going to have to change my divisional round a little bit because I am officially going with Tampa now. But what I have in the AFC is Cleveland going into Baltimore. So I do get my Flacco into Baltimore game. And there's a part of me that's like, dude, I think Cleveland wins it. But I'm also like, I don't think I can pick against the Ravens with just how dominant they've been all year. That didn't stop the Titans from beating them a few years ago, though. But I think I will still go Baltimore. And then I have Kansas City at Buffalo. I've talked about Buffalo making mistakes. I talked about Buffalo kind of playing down to their competition. They are not going to do that to Kansas City. And with Kansas City, I feel like if they get past Miami, they'll have kind of some of their shit together. But in Buffalo, with how much... I feel Buffalo in that one. That one I really do. Then it would be Tampa at San Francisco. I have San Francisco winning that. Detroit at Dallas. I'm picking Detroit. They almost got him. You can say what you will about the ineligible shit. I mentioned that. I was like, yeah, that's a bullshit, horrible thing that happened. So was the tripping call. And if it wasn't for the tripping call, this probably wouldn't have even happened. And even then, it's bullshit. At that point, Dan Campbell should have just kicked the extra point, gone for overtime. But I think in a second game, I feel the Lions in that one. I really do. Also, the Cowboys are cursed. Can't get past second round. So my AFC championship is Buffalo and Baltimore. I will go Buffalo in that. We'll see if they even beat the Steelers. But I will roll with Buffalo to go to the Super Bowl, like I said. And then San Francisco against Detroit, as much as I want to pick Detroit, I just don't think I can in good conscience. I think that team is good. I think they're going to fight as hard as they can. San Francisco is just too dominant, which means my Super Bowl, as it currently stands, would be Buffalo and San Francisco. San Francisco is a really, really good team, but fuck it. If Buffalo is this far, I have to pick them to win the whole thing. So those are my predictions for Super Wild Card weekends and how I would see the rest of the playoffs going if I'm right. If you followed my channel at all talking about football, I am very rarely right when it comes to my picks. So if I have jinxed your team, I'm sorry. If I jinxed the team you were playing against so your team made it forward, you're welcome.